Welcome to a different type of show with like-minded individuals that don't always see eye to eye.
Do you understand the words that are coming out from my mouth?
Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, man.
Free thinkers that stray away from the herd.
Drink that booze. Drink that booze.
Real topics, real discussions with real opinions.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
We might make you laugh, we might blow your mind. To some, this is groundbreaking. But to us, it's just another convo.
Well, hang on. We shouldn't be learning how not to get caught. We have to take responsibility for our actions.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
What's up, everybody? It's your boy High Cee. It is Sunday, so you know what that means. It is
Mother's Day.
It's time for just another convo, and it is Mother's Day, ironically, don't you think? But
Yes, I really do think.
happy Mother's Day to all the babies, mamas. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am. No, I don't know why. I just always wanted to say that. But no, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. You know, hope all of you are having a great start to your Sunday and feeling like the best mothers ever.
Yes. Shout out to all the mothers out there. As I posted last night, I'm not going to sit here and say shout out to all the dads who do both. Why? Because I'm not a child. It's what children do. So to all of you out there who plan on doing that nonsense for Mother's Day, you're showing your hand. Pick up your hypocrisy, please, and thank you. It's quite sad. But yes, it's Mother's Day. And before we get into this, you said you wanted to say something.
I did. Well, apparently,
The People's Court is now in session.
ironically,
I
would say for the first time ever in STLR history,
What do you mean?
there was a complaint department about moi.
Aha.
My gracious co-host across from me hit me up and said, "Yo, I congratulate you. It was about you this week, not me."
You were kind of a dick.
I guess I sort of was. I still have went back and listened to everything. I don't really see how I was being quote unquote dickish. I was under the impression that I didn't need to say in 2024 that something that was already obvious, that has already been in the news, has already been addressed, but apparently there were people who hadn't heard it from out of my mouth before. So yes, we do not condone violence
Woo, look at my boy speaking that good shit on a Sunday.
against women.
No SA.
But if you want to go back and listen to me have previously said that, you could check out our Spotify. Go check out our episode we did with our girl Queen. She is a domestic violence survivor. We had a very, very great show.
I forgot
with
about that. Yeah.
So feel free to go back and check that out.
That was good.
Help us out. You know what I'm saying? Those extra plays on Spotify. You know, I don't know if we'll make any moolah per se. We might make a couple doll hairs, but you know what? At the end of the day, there's some good messages behind all that. And we actually talked to somebody who had been through some stuff like that.
So there you go. He's saying his piece. For those of you who are saying, you know, that he's illegitimate, well, y'all are illegitimate. Illegitimate
Well,
like Stormy Daniels.
And then my only question is, for those who may or may not have had a complaint or felt some type of way, is how come as a man I wasn't allowed to feel offended that 80% on pretty much anywhere you went and looked up this question that people were upset with everything.
That's because
Like they took it dark, and I was upset that because of whatever the situation may be, that we're guilty until proven innocent.
would they have made you feel better if they had stopped and took 2 seconds and said, not you personally, High Cee, not you personally, but men in general. Men are the worst things on the planet, and they'd rather choose a bear, but not you.
But it's
Would
not,
you have felt better?
Well, the thing about it is at the end of the day, the whole situation, there was never a set thing to the question. It was open, and
Right.
the whole situation was A or B. there was never you're guaranteed to get raped by a man, or it was never you're guaranteed to get eaten by a bear. It was just
I think
open question.
Right. And I think sometimes that's needed in life. You can't just say, okay, well, if you're in the forest, would you rather encounter a stranger or a bear? And this is what I'm seeing is now the conversation. The conversation is now, it's now switched because, like, I spend my pathetic off time on TikTok and whatnot. And now, like, the argument has literally changed in front of my eyes. It has changed from would you rather encounter a stranger or a bear to, okay, so when I talk about the problem in spouse relationships, how 1 in 3 women are twice as likely to be essayed by their spouse. Oh, well, that's a different ballgame now. Okay, so now they're moving the goalposts. So which is it? Like, I'm happy to identify what it is. I just need to know what it is across the board. And that's where we start nickel and diming the process. We start doing things of that nature. To those of you watching, we've heard your complaints. We've addressed the complaints. Stop moving the goalpost. If we're going to talk about this, then let's talk about this. And I am also on TikTok Live, and somebody said, adopted women aren't real mothers. That's a horrible contention. That's a stupid contention. If you want to say dog parents aren't real mothers, well, okay, maybe. Maybe you've got a leg to stand on, but even that's a little far-fetched. The point of that was mothers can have their day. Stepmothers can have their day. They should be able to have it. Fathers will get theirs. And if you're going to get on social media and talk about shout out to the mothers on Father's Day because they do both jobs, you're kind of a child. And you're a shill of your former self, and no wonder you have problems. And I said what I said.
Facts. I like the fact of the matter. And, just I think the other topic on it is as well is like with the situation from last week, I think there needs to be some kind of programs or whatever to put out to help out the mental health of women that have either been through it or close relation, whether it be friend situations of victims of that kind of situation. Because for 80% of people to go to that thought process of just automatic negativity, like there's a very good chance you could be out in the woods, you can encounter a bear, and it's just doing this bear thing and minding his business and ain't even gonna mess with you.
Well,
and
that's the likelihood.
And the same thing with a human being, a man or woman or whatever the situation may be. I just know that in that question, it went dark really quick in a high percentage.
And I'm glad it was you that is taking up the mantle, at least on this one. Boy.
Well, I mean,
it came real close for me because like that.
And I'm not, and I want this to be openly out there. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for people to automatically go to that with a random question,
right?
There's some damage that's been done that people need to get help with to.
Correct. And there are some people, I believe, some people look at this as a legitimate issue. Some people, they just hate men. They think men are the worst things on the planet. Meanwhile, they're perfectly all right with their spouse being a little sissy. And again, as I stated yesterday, or last week, there's such a push for idiotic terminology like toxic masculinity, which is an egregious term. It really is. Again, because you're conflating.
Well, there's toxicity everywhere. It doesn't.
Correct.
It's not even gender specific.
They're conflating conscientiousness and power with tyranny.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case. It's not a real thing. Are there people who go to the extreme? Sure. But there are extremes in everything, just like you said. It's being able to be a real adult, and say, this is what I believe in. And if somebody on my side who believes the same thing that I do, if they go a little nuts, they go a little crazy, then I can put them in check because I'm not co-signing everything. just because it's the cool thing to do. They want to be a part of something. Blah 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 blah. I think it's more of a we need to get back up to zero. Get to zero. Let's not go to the far one side or another.
Yeah.
You know, let's
Balance.
not sit there and say that all men are going to do it. As we've already explained, we already know that all men aren't going to do it. And let's not play the other side and say, oh, well, that never happens. Of course it happens. And of course it's...
Yeah, and I think that most men, especially, you know, we do got a good handful watching. I seen Smokey was on here. We got Carter on here. Good morning to everybody that's tuning in right now, by the way, on the Facebook Live. But, you know, there's a good chance. Like, I know for a fact, if you're out in the woods, you're hanging out chilling, and say a female walks by you, or even a couple females, they're out hiking, you're going to have it in your mind, okay, I just seen these chicks. Now, say 15 minutes later, you hear some screams, you're probably going to go in the direction you've seen them walking to go check and see if they're safe.
I would like to believe that, yes.
I would feel that Carter would break out the strong hand and try to help, you know, wrestle a hog off of them or something like that.
I think Carter's going to run the other way.
Nah.
I don't.
Carter's a little batshit crazy now. He is the self-proclaimed. So you know how like in wrestling you got like self-proclaimed this stuff, you know, like this and that. He is the self-proclaimed. I cannot make this word up. You know it comes from that John right there. He is the self-proclaimed Philbilly. Because he's from Philadelphia, but now from being in Florida, he's kind of a, I guess, hillbilly, redneck, whatever.
That's a marketing term. That has marketability written all over it.
It does have marketability written all over it.
Right. Philbilly, Jesus Christ.
I feel like Carter might have like a little shank up in his pocket. He got to stab a little bear, grizzly bear or something. He could do it.
I think, like, I know where they were going with the idea of it, and it's a fine idea, but when you use such an extreme, and this is for people watching on social media,
really
and
extreme.
yahoos that are watching me on TikTok, when you pick such extremes, like a bear or a human, or a giant animal and a human, and you plan to get a deeper message involved, yeah, you can sit there and you can point and poke and prod about, oh, well, they're missing the bigger message when they go to the literal. Okay, well, don't pick such a huge literal next time.
Yeah.
Pick something that's not in. Because you're going to force people who may believe what you believe, and you're going to force them to get on that same train.
It's like they say, that went from 0 to 100 real quick.
It did. Like, I had no idea how many people on my TikTok and on other social medias were sending me videos of the man and bear, and these are god dark as shit. Like, good lord.
And as I did some research,
the bear doesn't come into your house all the time and continue to take advantage of you night in and night out.
And listen, as I did some research,
wow,
and I started seeing some of this, that's why I got onto the mental health issue of the matter to begin with, because there are people out there that have clearly, you know, and maybe this is their way of healing, putting out some of them videos and answering this question the way that they are.
Right.
But there are people that, you know, maybe need to talk to somebody. You know, I know there's a lot of programs out there for people. Maybe there needs to be more. There, you know, there's more we can do with our tax money than sending another $5 billion over to Ukraine. But that's just that's a whole different topic. That's apples and oranges at this point. But the American people, and I don't even, you know, and I wouldn't even say American people, because I'm sure that there were answers from all over the world. But victims of things like this definitely need some kind of help, therapy, or whatever it is to help them get over.
They definitely need somebody to have their back.
I know people that are military, and it's kind of a different like sidestep right here. But I know people that are military, PTSD, that do have like some heavy stuff in. I'm not gonna say any names, but I have been told a story by somebody who served in Iraq that has children. Says, you know, you get these orders, you're to go into this, you know, these buildings and secure to make sure everything's straight. And he's like, you may kick in a door and there's a kid staring at you with an AK-47 that's probably 10 or 11 years old. And at that point, what you gonna do? you're not built as a human being, especially, it's not in our like, not saying we don't have people that murder, because we do know, obviously, that murder happens. But it's not in our genetic makeup to where we just go around killing each other like Call of Duty.
Right.
But you kick in a door and you see this young kid there with an AR-15 or an AK-47, and it's just like, well, I got to either pull this trigger or it's going to be me. You can't come back from certain things like that. And then when you're at home, you're looking at your kids who may be slightly younger than this kid or around the same age, and you're thinking to yourself like, damn, like, I just killed somebody my kid's age. And that's something that you got to live with on your chest. And, that's why you do see, unfortunately, veterans and stuff like that going through some of the issues and the problems that they have too, maybe even, drug usage or shit, shit like that. So there's mental health issues across the globe,
right,
due to traumatic instances, and that's just one of them that I've been told personally from somebody that, and I was like, look, bro, I ain't mean to even bring none of that up, or I ain't want to. No, I actually like talking about things like that because it does kind of help me get off my chest and kind of helps me cope with it. So,
I mean, there's a whole lot that that we could dive into when it comes to things like mental health. I think mental health,
that could be like a 4-part series, probably.
Easily, and unfortunately, everybody's got a damn opinion about it. Nobody's a certified doctor when it comes to these sorts of things, but everybody's a damn expert about it.
And good morning, Danielle. Happy Mother's Day, by the way. And Lenore, good morning to you on the Facebook Live. And not sure if you're a mother or not, but if you are, happy Mother's Day.
If you own a pet, it's acceptable. That's fine.
All right. Fur babies count? Perfect.
Why not?
All right.
Yeah, I mean, but it's definitely a real counterbalance, because it's like we just don't know all the variables when it comes to things like mental health, and you can clearly see what has happened in mental health and how people are now acting as a result of mental health. These are like, you have a bunch of instances where you have people that are displaying like real-time effects that are in the DSM-4 and the DSM-5, and people are still choosing to ignore it, and that's huge. That's absolutely insane to me.
No, it is, man.
And if you yourself have been a victim of SA, or you know somebody who's been a victim of SA, or rape, or anything like that, talk them into getting help. Talk them into talking to someone.
For real. If
you want these things to stop, you have really but one real alternative. Now, I'm not saying that's going to stop it, but we're going to make huge strides in stopping it. Tell somebody when it happens. Know that you can always come to me, even if I dislike you. You can come tell me, and we'll take it seriously.
Yeah.
I can almost 100% guarantee that you can go to High Cee. That nobody deserves to be taken advantage of. Nobody deserves to be made to feel less than a person.
Not at
all. You don't get to push your damn beliefs on me, but you don't deserve to be around people who just don't know how to conduct themselves. And when they get upset, the way of them dealing with them being upset is probably, hypothetically, it's probably much how they were handled when they caused the same problems when they were growing up. And that's sad. And we shouldn't have that.
Nope, not one bit.
But moving on, so we don't have a completely depressing show.
Get a little more lighthearted here.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is the biggest damn joke this side of the Mason-Dixon line. Burn in hell, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You suck ass, motherfucker. Eat shit. Eat my shit. They want to sit there. They want to let freaking Cher. Peter Frampton.
Peter Frampton? What's wrong with Frampton Comes Alive?
That's the only thing he's got under his belt. Is Frampton Comes Alive. It's a great damn album. It's a very damn good album. But when you have people like Cher and A Tribe Called Quest and Kool and the Gang and Diane Warwick, when you have them
Dionne Warwick, yeah,
in a Hall of Fame where the title is rock and roll, you discredit the entire ceremony. You're punishing rock fans because you don't want to step up your damn marketing and get other Hall of Fames to get on that level.
Well, I think the situation is, and this was coming from somebody who
probably doesn't know much.
We both actually respect when it comes to music.
I'll write it next.
And let me find this.
Hold the hell.
I actually have in my possession right now a message from one Gator Ryan.
You are right on that one, son of a bitch.
Gator Ryan says, "Nah, bro lost me on this one. Tribe deserves it. Rock and roll is just a name for branding. It's catchy. They would not name it Music Hall of Fame. It doesn't sell the same." And I was like, great point. I don't think they could change the name even if they started inducting other genres anyways, because it's kind of just like Publix has his name. If Publix was to change his name next week, for Floridians especially, or people in the South, it'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, nah, this is Publix. You know what I'm saying? It's Publix. So it started off as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but because of its popularity and everything else,
it's just easier to freaking ride the coattails? Is that what he's saying?
No, I think they just brought in other genres because there are a lot of music genres that are derivatives of rock. Like even with rap, a lot of their stuff was from disco and rock early on. They sampled stuff like that in different sounds, and that's how they started coming up with their beats. And if you watch Evolution of Hip Hop, you can see it. You can see it with your own eyes. I ain't even going to tell you. Go on Netflix, Evolution of Hip Hop. It's freaking fantastic. I've watched it like 3 times already. But anyways, there are a lot of genres of music that have been spin-offs of rock and roll, but it is like the most popular one. It is like, until we even had the conversation, when we had the conversation, you were like, oh, they should just call it Music Hall of Fame. I'm like, well, do they even have like an R&B Hall of Fame?
They
or
do.
Like whatever you would consider Kool and the Gang Hall of Fame? And if they do, it's probably like nobody knows about it, or it's probably shut down by now.
So you're co-signing my point that because the people who own these things, like the Singer-Songwriter Hall of Fame, the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, the Pop Culture Hall of Fame, because they don't want to put in the same amount of effort.
Well,
it's just easier to get in on somebody who's put in the work and establish.
Is it them not putting in the effort, or is it just the fact that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is so big and is so known that it kind of is just the Walmart of...
Think of how long it took to get there,
of the Hall of Fame.
It wasn't always.
But they were probably established first. That's probably why they are the bigger entity. They are the bigger name.
Correct.
And the other ones just can't get there. And maybe Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
We are told by everybody, put in the work, baby. Put in the work.
Hey, they put in the work and they're taking over, but they're keeping their name the same, whether you feel that way or not.
It's a stupid contention. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Because the Tribe Called Quest deserves to be in there.
Tribe Called Quest absolutely deserves to be in it. Absolutely. But if I go to Walmart...
Dionne Warwick was a little questionable.
If I go to Walmart, I can find Tribe Called Quest in every fucking section on God's green creation except rock and roll.
No, you'd find it just probably in hip-hop.
No, I can find it in pop. I guarantee I can find it in pop. I will bet every last nickel, dime, and quarter I can.
Maybe.
But I can't find it. I know 100% certain I cannot find it in rock.
But they're just not going to change their name.
I can't find Dionne Warwick in rock. I can't find Kool and the
You
Gang.
probably can't find her on Apple Music.
I could make a better case for Kool and the Gang going in because they actually play their instruments. I could make a case for that. And hell, I'll do you one better. If a Tribe Called Quest is playing the instrument to create the beat, to loop it, to make it part of the song, I can make a contention for it. You gotta play something.
The turntables.
Turntables is not a goddamn instrument. Jesus Christ. Do you tune a turntable?
Yeah.
No, you do not.
You have to do certain things to make it sound right. You got to control all that stuff. The bass, the treble. You got to be able to mix everything.
How many strings do you got to tune? What's the E sharp on it? Show me what D sharp is on the turntable.
It's from that sample they got.
Stop
They put it through the SP
Stop
1200.
Stop that.
There's artistic.
You're reaching.
There's artistic stuff between that. Do you know how to play the SP 1200? Exactly.
I know how to play guitar.
You know
Can anybody in Tribe Called Quest do that?
Maybe. Q-Tip's pretty musically talented.
Nah, Q-Tip can play drums, though.
See?
Like, that motherfucker can play drums. And he can outplay me on drums. And he can outplay probably a lot of people.
There are people out there in the hip-hop game, like even your boy from Black Eyed Peas, Will I Am.
Just change the fucking name.
They're not going to do it. They've already been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're not going to do it.
When you have equally as many non-rock as you do rock, that's an issue. You want to sprinkle one, you want to sprinkle two in here. First off, who gets to come up with the fucking criteria? I can give you a list of bands who have, if we're going by time, they put in more time. So, because of the fact that A Tribe Called Quest is more popular in the hip-hop community than, say, Iron Maiden, who's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they get the green light.
Well, you can't put everybody in there in the same time either, though, because...
Oh, so it sounds like you should really spread it out and split it. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that.
Maybe Iron Maiden will make it in there next year.
Iron Maiden's been hopefully trying to make it in for the last 3 or 4 years. Boston, not in.
Who's their? What's their big hit? Boston. I know the group.
More Than a Feeling, Smoking, Take a Little Ride.
Okay.
Brad Delford, quite possibly.
Some of the songs, like some of the groups in rock and roll, I know the songs more than I know like the who actually sings it. And I was just trying to put it out there for the people like me.
I hate the jock riding. That's what it is. It's jock riding. It's riding the dick of rock and roll.
Now I know Iron Maiden. I've heard of the group. I probably could never you could probably play 3 songs, and one of them being Iron Maiden, and the other ones are just like 2 to try to fool me. And I don't know if I could actually pull out and be like, oh, that's Iron Maiden.
I don't know why Carter's talking shit, talking about Scratch. You know what? You're lucky I got respect for you. You're talking to a cat scratch fever motherfucker.
Oh my goodness, look who's chiming in all the way from Texas. Old fat boy, Robbie Crump.
I'm going to have to verify that because I'm pretty sure Styx is in the Hall of Fame. I like Styx too.
And shout out to Rich. Hey, listen, shout out to Rich because he does know a lot, and he's probably 100% right that Styx isn't in there.
Holy fucking shit! That's crazy.
And Bad Company probably.
Yes.
Bad Company has some Bad Company.
Bad Company was such a unique band because they kind of came in at the early part of the 70s. Like that's when they really kind of hit their stride. They kind of developed their sound. And they even tried to evolve. Like, another band that was actually able to evolve was like bands like 38 Special. 38 Special hit it hard in the 70s, and then when the 80s and the new wave came around, they were able to update it and kind of not go completely, synthesizer, new wave like Depeche Mode or even Duran Duran, but they were able to adapt with the times and make them, like, that's kind of the next step of the yacht rock. Like in the 70s, you had early Styx, you had Ambrosia, you had Christopher Cross.
It's kind of, to me, I feel like quote unquote yacht rock to me is sort of like disco rock or something along those lines. It's like that like upbeat kind of get you going like what's that night at Roxbury, get the little head thing. Listen, there are certain songs that aren't quote unquote yacht rock that I would put on yacht rock like category or like a playlist. Like,
I'd be very interested to hear this type.
Yacht rock. If I'm on a yacht, if I'm balling, and I'm out there freaking doing my thing, I'm gonna be cruising the cove with a little like Ace of Base, little I saw the sign. All that she wants is another baby. It got some catchiness to it. I like it.
No, it doesn't.
Hey. Your yacht rock can be your yacht rock, but mine's going to be jamming.
Yeah, my yacht rock's going to be the one that they actually classify as yacht rock.
I'll have some Jimmy Buffett on there, too, and different things like that.
Ace of Base and Jimmy Buffett don't even belong in the
yes,
same goddamn
do.
floor. No, they don't.
When you're eclectic,
get the fuck out of here.
Which I can't even spell that word.
Get the hell out of here.
But I do got a question for you, because my boy Rich commented on them. I know the name group Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas. Carry on my wayward son.
Okay.
Dust in the Wind. You know, for those of you who don't know who it is, if you've watched the movie Old School, it's the song they sing during Blue's funeral. There you go. Love
Dust in the Wind. You're my boy, Blue. I love it.
But yeah, like if Styx not being in the Hall of Fame is a damn travesty. So was freaking all those bands. Freaking Blue Oyster Cult's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame either. They had like the Don't Fear the Reaper, Burning for You.
I'm burning
Correct.
for you. They were the Usher before Usher.
There are some people I can make a contention for. You know, people like freaking like Little Richard. Little Richard, yes, not rock. The single greatest, most influential voice in rock and roll. He gets to go in.
Good guy,
Prince
good guy
gets to go in.
This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Yes.
Hey, they say Prince is one of the baddest motherfuckers when it comes to the guitar.
You know who's the surprisingly a bad motherfucker on the guitar that nobody would think? Brad Paisley.
Really?
Brad Paisley can fucking wail.
Okay.
Like he's very.
He's huge in the country game.
Michael McDonald, my boy.
Michael McDonald definitely.
You know who Michael McDonald is. Then you'll be thrilled to know that the Doobie Brothers are coming back into concert in a few months at the Sound, and Michael McDonald's part of the lineup.
Michael McDonald could damn sure. Hell yeah! I keep forgetting I'm not in love anymore.
If you made a list of artists that people didn't know were white, Michael McDonald would be on that list. So would Bobby Caldwell.
You know what? Up until just recently, I swear to God on this, and I'm pretty sure I've told you this on the phone. Until just recently, I didn't realize how much black folks fuck with Kenny G. And Kenny G is like clear. He's the definition of white people. Like, I did not know black folk jammed out to long hair, saxophone playing ass Kenny G. And you know what? I heard a thing where he actually did a collab, I think, with Warren G, like a live show. And he's playing the freaking saxophone to Regulators.
He did he may have done that. I would have to look that up, which that's ripped off from
Michael McDonald.
Yeah, correct.
They actually have a great mashup where it's Regulators the verse, and then the hook is the Michael McDonald version of the song, and it's really good.
I would believe that Rick Springfield is good. I would believe that Dr. Noah Drake is, absolutely. Yeah.
Who's Rick Springfield?
Jesse's Girl.
Oh.
That was his big hit. Now, that whole album
I wish
was
that
good.
I had Jesse's Girl.
That whole album was good. It was a very good album.
Where you find a woman like that? Yeah, that is that jam.
I know Kenny G he did actually 2 collabs in the 90s. He did one with former Entertainment Tonight host John Tesh, which is absolutely hysterical when you think of it. And James Ingram. James Ingram is another unsung hero. You don't see him being put in no goddamn Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, if I didn't know any better, I'd have swore like that Dionne Warwick's going to be the spike off. Like, every year they're going to put somebody who was in We Are the World in the Hall of Fame. Like, next step, they're going to put freaking Willie Nelson's in the Hall of Fame. Fuck.
He's probably the Country Hall of Fame for sure.
And in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Dolly Parton's in the fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for God's sake.
But the only other Hall of Fame musically that I think is even remotely close to the caliber of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Sounds like they need to get better sponsors. Sounds like they need to get better bucks.
Well, I guess Jay-Z...
Don't blame us.
Maybe Jay-Z needs to break out the checkbook and
Well,
sponsor the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. I don't know.
Maybe Jay-Z needs to quit messing around with the mess around. He better call his boy Diddy and tell him to chip in on this.
Okay.
If Diddy in the country, that is. Hey, Ohio players. Jesus. Roller coaster. God damn it, man. Like, that was on the list for Funky Bones. I didn't want no part of Roller Coaster of Love.
Why not? Roller Coaster.
I would do the Red Hot Chili Peppers version of it. Just like...
that wasn't even as good, though.
It actually was. That there's just like, when you listen to it, there's not a lot to it. There's not a lot vocally going on there.
You're
like
just
that,
Anthony Kiedis
there's a lot going on in the song as far as like bass riff. Like the bass riff on that is freaking nuts. Same with Higher Ground.
You're just Anthony Kiedis groupie.
I don't like the Red Hot. But it's
Hey,
like
don't listen. Let me get that out there. It's like the three lead singers I may know in some kind of other genre. I had to throw it out there real quick.
no, you know more than that. I mean,
I do know. I'm just. But
I mean, I can count 4. You know.
I know James.
That.
I know James Hetfield from Metallica.
That's 5.
Kurt Cobain.
That's yeah. That goes back to the original 4. That the original 4 I had was you knew who Kurt Cobain was. You knew who Eddie Vedder was.
Yep. I do a pretty good Eddie Vedder impersonation.
Shit. 4 was the one you just said, not James Hetfield. Yep, Kiedis. And then who the hell was
Steven
the
Tyler, everybody knows him.
Yeah.
Jagger.
Oh, all right. Okay, wow. Like I'm getting a whole other.
Tom Petty, the Heartbreakers.
Zach Brown's okay, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like
He kind of got some yacht rock country.
Randy Travis. Randy Travis isn't Randy Travis anymore.
I got my feet in the water.
That's a
ass
damn
in the
shame.
sand.
Like when you have like these primary artists that were fucking icons, and you look at them now and they're just feeble. There was a picture posted from the Kentucky Derby of Randy Travis.
He was huge in
Randy
country.
Travis, man, was a freaking country icon.
In the 80s,
and
right?
he looked fucking horrible. God, it's sad. Like, he can barely get out of the freaking wheelchair. When Phil Collins from Genesis did the last Domino tour last year, which I almost went to at freaking MSG, dude's in a wheelchair.
Phil Collins is?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Huey Lewis from Huey Lewis in the News can't even hear. He can't hear anymore. So his singing days are done. It's fucking nuts. All we're stuck with is fucking Bruno Mars. We're fucked.
He's pretty good. He puts on a pretty good concert. I'm not going to lie.
Carter, we're going to have you go sit down because adults are talking. Primus, get the fuck out of here. Jesus Christ. Go sit down, will you?
Weren't they signed to the...
If he was in the Bass Hall of Fame, yes.
I know Primus, they used to wear like the mask and shit.
Yeah, Wanda's Big Brown Beaver. And my name is Bud.
I know who they are because if you've ever seen...
Ooh, how was Heart? I almost went to the Heart show a couple weeks ago.
What was that? What was that? It's the documentary. It was on HBO, and it's talking about Dr. Dre and the Jimmy Iovine. And that's how I know about who Primus is.
Primus was such a weird oddity.
Heart. That's
Jimmy Iovine was not talking about war.
Heart's the group with
Ann and Nancy Wilson.
Yes, the Wilson girls.
Not to be confused with Wilson Phillips, because that's Carney Wilson. That's Brian Wilson's daughter. And that's a fucking shame, too. Brian Wilson's got hit with bad dementia from the Beach Boys.
Heart's Barracuda?
Heart's Barracuda. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
With my boy.
Love me some Barracuda.
Because
Barracuda.
I heard an interview with Carney Wilson from Wilson Phillips, the group that does Hold On.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
To one more day.
Yeah, that's like all it is. You know,
Someday somebody's gonna make you want to turn around and say goodbye.
Exactly, that one. And she was saying that her dad, which anybody who's like a true music historian, like I'm a music historian. I love music. I appreciate music. The story of the Beach Boys is absolutely fucking tragic. It's tragic what they did to Brian Wilson. That dude had all sorts of mental health issues. That was a prime example. So much of a mental health that his agent moved himself into Brian Wilson's house.
He was the one who wrote all the songs for the Beach Boys.
Correct.
Like,
he is solely responsible for their greatest album, Pet Shop. Oh, God. It's a masterpiece. And now that mental health has turned into full-on dementia. Can you imagine not knowing who your fucking kids are?
I mean, there's probably a lot of drugs involved in that.
Oh, God, yes. They did. They were doing barbiturates and shit.
I mean, he probably had a pretty
They were fucking partying with fucking the Monkees because fucking Pete Yorn, Mickey Dolenz were into that shit.
For those who don't know who the Monkees are, that was like the English version of the Beatles.
The Beatles were English.
I meant American.
No, Davy Jones was British.
Was he? I thought they were from here.
No.
I thought they were supposed to be like our version of the Beatles.
No, actually, Michael Nesmith and Pete Yorn, they started a group. Actually, the Monkees were the first boy band.
Really?
Correct. Like, the record company wanted something to go up against the Beatles, and they had Michael Nesmith in their arsenal. He was a session guitarist and pianist. And so they put Pete Yorn, Mickey Dolenz, Michael Nesmith, and then they had David Jones.
Didn't they have a TV show back in the day too?
Correct.
That I vaguely remember. People say we monkey around.
Correct.
That's almost like the freaking Partridge Family.
Fernando. Yeah, that's because Gore doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's why Gore's not in it, because who the fuck are they? They fucking...
No, I never owned
Give
Guitar
me
Hero.
Sabotage before you start talking about Gore going in.
Do you think the Beastie Boys belong?
Yes.
Are they in it already?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Beasties belong. Beasties belong.
Have you ever seen the Apple documentary on them on Apple TV?
Ooh, no, I haven't. I watched the one on Duran Duran last week.
It is really good, and they actually did start off as a rock and roll band.
Yeah. That's where, they came out, man, with that Fight for Your Right.
And they originally had a female in the group, too.
And it's crazy how many other people were influenced by the Beasties. Like, Run DMC went on record and said that they were seeing what the Beasties were doing and said, oh, well, we can do it better.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? That's crazy. Like, I don't know that there will be some artists that will never truly get all of their flowers like they should. You know, and I think Beasties, Run DMC, like, those are people that they should be in a Hall of Fame all of their fucking own because they are big. And I feel like if they put real focus on and they have real backers like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame does, Hip Hop Hall of Fame could be equally as big.
They could.
Equally as big.
If the big wigs like your Jay-Z's, your Russell Simmons, your
the people who are connected
Jay
to corporate
Prince,
Morris, you know, to
Dr.
corporate
Dre,
America,
Eminem, if people like that got in on it, yeah, they definitely could. I think it would be, because there's so many innovators. I mean, even those music, and you're talking about a whole different genre, and maybe they don't play instruments, quote unquote, like you're talking about. If you watch, I'm telling you, if you watch Evolution of Hip Hop and some of the stuff that these guys were doing, and how, you know, they tell you how they started with, you know, making their style and the way they started making beats and different things like that, you're like, damn, these dudes are pretty fucking intelligent.
Well, yes. I mean, they've got a shit ton of Hall of Fames. Like, just about every fucking state has a Hall of Fame, has a music Hall of Fame, you know, like in North Carolina, Alabama, Florida, da. But it's that they got the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Pop Culture Hall of Fame. The Pop Culture Hall of Fame's in L.A. Country music's obviously in Nashville. Singer-songwriters in North Carolina.
Where's hip hop in Brooklyn?
It's in New York, yes.
Brooklyn or the Bronx, I'm assuming. Carter says Bootsy Collins.
He's already in.
That's what I figured.
He was when he.
He was more funk though. Him and George Clinton were funk.
But they made it because of the fact that.
But they do have rock and roll elements in it. They do.
Oh yeah,
they have guitars and different things like that.
Yeah, Bootsy Collins was I saw that documentary too. That the George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic documentary. That is a fucked up documentary.
I'm sure.
Like, George Clinton was basically Diddy before Diddy. Like, you got these backup dancers and these backup singers. Not really so much on, like, the child level, but basically, like, taking advantage of them. Like, you got them openly coming out saying that...
Like Weinstein.
Yeah, they were openly coming out saying George was keeping our money, that he was paying us in drugs, he wouldn't give us our money, and then they got us on the crack, they got us hooked on the crack, and George would just kind of throw his hands up and say, sure, you can have your money, or you can have this. And so that's how he kept them under the thumb.
Damn.
Oh, yeah. But yes, but Bootsy Collins is a fierce fucking bass player. Bootsy did a lot of shit with Earth, Wind, and Fire back in the day. He did like a lot of session shit. Like Bootsy's nasty. Bootsy's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a
phenomenal bass player.
Great dude. Rich says 70s music was the all-time best. Changed my mind.
It depends. It depends on how you're looking at it. I despise that contention, change my mind, because I don't know that anybody's mind can actually be changed. But
I would say the 70s through 2000s was like
that's over 40 years.
But I feel like now it's like the newer rock, the newer everything is like not.
I think Rich is onto something way more than you are. Talking about just decade-ish, like 70s as opposed to 80s. Like 80s was the 70s was great for what it was with the disco era, and even moving out, you had because then Zeppelin was still around in the 70s, not for very long because they were done by 73 due to the plane crash and John Bonham dying. But they gave a lot. And do you give the 70s credit for stars in the 80s? Case in point, Van Halen. I have a poster from 1976 that is Ronnie Malmsteen, Journey, and below it, way down at the bottom, it says, and introducing Van Halen.
But you're literally playing into my point of what I was trying to get at. Is because I feel like 70s, 80s, 90s, music kind of elevated. And then at like 2000s and all this newer stuff, it kind of just like plateaued. You don't have those...
Negative.
I don't feel like you have those people that are like taking that next step that are really wowing you with their
and that's because
artistic form. You don't have those Michael Jacksons. You don't have those Princes.
Well, those are generational talents.
You don't... But what's the generational talent of 2000 to 2010? What's the generational talent of 2010 to 2020.
There is none. The generational talent between the 70s and 80s is 70s you had disco, 80s you had new wave.
But 70s, I guarantee you still have those groups that you could these were the icons.
There were no Duran Durans. There were no Depeche Modes. There were no Boys and Girls, West End Girls. Because they didn't know. They didn't know what synthesized music was. You had keyboards, but a synthesizer took it to a completely different ballgame, and it allowed
but in the
70s,
in the 70s, isn't that when Rolling Stones was created? Isn't
the Stones were more in the 60s? Like the Stones were coming off, and you have.
I thought that's when they were starting to really blow up was in the 70s.
You have less than a handful of bands that transcended all of those decades.
Aerosmith from the 70s, correct?
Aerosmith transcended 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. They had a #1 hit in all 4 decades.
Wow.
AC/DC only transcended 3 out of 4.
Were they in the 70s?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, they were in late 60s with Bon Scott. Then when Bon Scott died, in the late 70s, they had to regroup, and they did it with Brian Johnson. In the 80s, you had Back in Black.
Brian Johnson's the one who hops on the one foot playing the guitar?
No.
Oh.
That's Angus Young.
That's Angus Young. Okay.
Yeah. And I can make a hell of a contention that Bon Scott's almost better than Brian Johnson.
Do they still got that one group around here that does the AC/DC covers?
Ooh, How About a Hell?
Is that what they were called?
I think so. I have not seen them.
I've seen them perform a few times, and they did a pretty damn good show, and they even dressed up like how they do.
Well, that's how you're supposed to do.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job.
But aside from these outlier groups like the U2s, like the U2 started in the 70s, had hits in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Aerosmith, like the Stones.
I know Rich hates Bono, by the way.
I do too, but the man puts on a hell of a show from what I've heard. That the Stones didn't really have anything in the 2000s. In the 90s, they had Voodoo Lounge and Bridges to Babylon, which were 2 of great albums. Aside from that, it's the actual structure of music. It's when the 90s came out, grunge killed hair metal. Killed it. Absolutely despised it, annihilated it. Nirvana
hair metal was a flash in the pan, I feel like, at a certain point.
For an entire decade. When grunge came out, they simplified the guitar riff. They went from, instead of playing a freaking F4 harmonic. They went to straight power chords, and that's all they were playing. Smells Like Teen Spirit is 4 chords. And that song killed the entire industry of hair metal. And it forced bands like Guns N' Roses to step up. It allowed Metallica to come through, which is how they got their commercialized success with the Black Album. But a lot.
Shout out to my boy Rich. This has got to be the comment of the day. He said, Aerosmith came out when I was in high school. That's old. I love Rich. And Rich is somebody who's been with STLR for a while. I'm a huge fan of No Boundary Sports Talk. And he really does have a lot of knowledge when it comes to different things like music and sports. And he's truly a great guy. And I know you called me the other day, Rich, and I'm pretty sure because it was about the fact that Derek's parlay was wrong that day.
Imagine that.
No, Derek has actually been on a hot streak lately, but Rich told him that the Bruins weren't going to win, and I think that they lost that night.
Yeesh. But
and he picked the Pacers, and I know the Pacers lost to the New York Knicks.
They got a shit ton of 70s concerts coming up in the Tampa Bay area over the next 6 months.
Let me know. I have never been to one.
What?
I have never been to a... Listen, that AC/DC cover band I'm telling you about is probably the only rock show I've been to.
They've got a band called Yes that was big in the 80s and in the 70s.
I've heard of it. What do they sing?
Owner of a Lonely Heart, Roundabout, handful of those.
Owner of a Lonely Heart.
And Deep Purple are coming together.
Deep Purple, who are they? I know they.
Smoke on the Water.
Smoke on the Water.
And Highway Star.
Okay.
They're coming into concert in Clearwater.
Who else is coming? Because I feel like there might be something a little better.
Last week, Diana Ross.
That would have been probably a cool show.
It was only cool because I've seen the videos from it because my brother and I go to all that shit. And it's cool because she's 80 and she's still doing it. Yeah. Same with Smokey Robinson.
Does she still look pretty good?
She looks and sounds pretty good. And my brother said, and I quote, it was better than what he anticipated. He thought it was going to be the drizzling shit. It's like Diana Ross, I will forever say, is the most ruthless bitch when it comes in the music industry that there's ever lived. Fuck Madonna. Fuck anybody else who you think of. Diana Ross is that bitch. She is that woman.
Okay.
She will stab your ass for her spot. It's been well documented. You've got a 4-person studio or stadium show. You've got Def Leppard, Journey, Cheap Trick, Heart.
That would be a dope one.
That will be good.
What are the ticket prices on that one? Let me know.
I don't know about that one. They've got REO Speedwagon and Foreigner.
Does Def Leppard still got the one-armed drummer guy?
Rick Allen, yes. Yes, Rick Allen's stuff there.
Okay.
I thought about going to go see REO and Foreigner, but there's no original members of Foreigner, so it's literally a tribute band.
A tribute band.
Literally.
You're not going to see, whatchamacallit?
And Foreigner's being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Where the fuck is... Mick Jones better bow the fuck down to freaking Lou Gramm on this one, and they better let Lou Gramm get in on that. Because Lou Gramm wrote, I Want to Know What Love Is. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. Mick Jones wrote I Want to Know What Love Is. Lou Gramm made it a fucking anthem of a generation. Who else is coming?
Rich said this. The drum opening on Teen Spirit was taken from the Gap Band. You dropped a bomb on me.
I would have to listen to that. I don't know that one. I can pull it up and I will get back to
That's pretty interesting. Trust me, there's certain times where I hear stuff, sometimes I'm like,
and maybe
that's where that came from.
And maybe it's difficult for me to think of the song right now because I'm getting to it. It's 4/4. I got that one mixed up with Let It Whip.
Elle says that she watched Foreigner pretty recently and it was good. Good morning, Elle.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the karaoke's not bad, or isn't good, but I'm just saying it's without the original members or any of the original members, nobody. Mick Jones was the last person, and he said.
So far, the ones you've named, that Def Leppard lineup sounds pretty good to me.
That Def Leppard, I've seen Def Leppard 4 times. I've seen Journey 3 times. I've seen
And I've never
Heart
seen
twice.
I've never seen
Cheap
Journey.
Trick 5.
I've never seen Journey. I've never seen any of those groups. I know who all of them are. I know who Cheap Trick is. I can't think of their popular songs off the top of my head right now.
They had I Want You to Want Me, Surrender.
I want
Yep,
you.
correct.
Okay.
And in the 80s, their big hit was The Flame.
Okay.
That was super big. The last good 80s show that I saw Toto. Toto was good.
That's Africa, right?
Correct. And that's got all the original minus the one who died.
Only reason why I know that group is just because of it always makes me think of the dog from Wizard of Oz.
Toto was really good. But I will say, like, the best 80s show that I've seen, Richard Marx. Richard Marx was so fucking good. God damn it. It was I like small venue shows. And it was Richard Marx in Capitol Theater. I was with, at the time, my ex-fiance, and we had balcony seats. It's the best thing ever. It was just before he started dating Daisy Fuentes.
So Rich says you can pull up the video of Dave Grohl telling the guy this thing's happy, which I'm assuming is Pharrell, that he stole it from the Gap Band, the drum riff.
Well, I can pull up the drum tracks and be able to track it. But I mean, if Rich is right, then Rich is right.
I mean, if Dave Grohl's on video telling Pharrell that, I think. Matter of fact, I actually just seen a cool ass Instagram story or something the other day when I was on there, and it was will.i.am talking about how he was supposed to produce a track for Usher, and the label wanted it to be like an iconic freaking song, and they had just performed over in Europe somewhere. I think it was France. And they had just did one of their songs, one of the big Black Eyed Peas songs. And after they did their song, the crowd was going, oh, oh, oh. And he sampled the audio from the crowd. And that's where he got that oh from in the Oh My God for your boy Usher.
That's a lot, Rich. Now I got to figure this shit out on me. That's a lot. Fucking mothers.
He said Pharrell was blown away by it. Yeah, I bet. And Pharrell, whew, that's somebody right there, production-wise, in all kind of genres of music is amazing. There's some people out there in the music industry that I think, especially in the hip-hop game and just production altogether, like, don't get me wrong, Dr. Dre deserves his flowers, and he's done a hell of a lot for the game. But I think there's actually some producers out there, you know, track for track, and some of the stuff that they've done that are just as good as, if not better, than Dr. Dre, Pharrell being one of them.
Maybe. I'm not a huge Pharrell fan. It's like I liked him in clips. It's about my extent knowledge.
Listen, until you watch some of these things, like, and I actually seen a thing on Pharrell the other day. I shared it somewhere. I have to go back and find it to see who I shared it with. I think it was on IG with Carter or BBJ or something like that. But there's like so many different songs that he's in that he's secretly in the song because he produced it. And you don't even know that it's Pharrell doing like maybe some ad-libs or this and that, and he's in there. So it's actually pretty crazy, the music stuff that he has going on in there. You dropped the bomb on me, baby.
Dave Grohl's lying. This sounds nothing like Smells Like Teen Spirit. This is a simple 4 with the 2 and the 4, and Dave Grohl's is in between every other. This sounds nothing like Smells Like Teen Spirit.
I'd have to listen to both songs. Dave Grohl, listen, you gotta understand, they tweak stuff too now to where it makes it sound more.
Dave Grohl's trolling. I said he's trolling. Damn it.
You think
he's trolling people?
Now I have to feel like I gotta go listen to everything and listen to the interview. Now I got some.
Now Dave Grohl's got no credit.
Now I got some stuff to go listen to because we gotta go watch the interview and see what he says.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You gotta go watch the interview and see what he says behind it.
Right.
Rich says that he saw Def Leppard open up for Ozzy when two of them were still in school. When two of them were still in school. That's throwback. This is eating you up right now.
Yes.
Do the research after the show. I'm sure if you go listen to the
It may be in the same time signature. That's probably what it is. It's probably in the same timing.
that's what
It's probably in like 4/4 time.
that's what I'm saying. When you go watch the video and he explains it, it'll probably make a lot more sense.
Has to. Because right now he's drinking Drano.
He's drinking Drano.
He's drinking Drano.
Shout out to my boy Scoob up in here. I like it.
But what you doing for Mother's Day? Are you gonna go wife up some mommy?
No, actually,
Mommy's always on top.
Actually, my mom's supposed to be. She probably on her way over to my house if she's not there already.
Huh?
My mom's supposed to be coming by.
Like, I've known you and your brother for years. Like, I can count on one hand the time you all have actually mentioned your mother.
Because she doesn't live in town.
Like, we're talking ever, though. Like, my dad's dead, but I still talk about her.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, we have a mom.
Oh, okay.
For a long time until just recently, her husband retired. He was a crane operator.
Oh.
So he literally traveled the country,
Oh.
like, building big-ass buildings. Like, how they originally met was...
Like skyscraper.
When he was in town, they originally met. She used to live here. They originally met when the Ringling Bridge was being built.
Oh, shit. That's a long ass time ago.
He actually has helped. He was the crane operator on the. Since we're talking about Hall of Fames, ironically, the College Football Hall of Fame. He helped construct that building.
My ex-wife, who I can't stand, her grandfather helped design the St. Louis Arch.
Oh, okay, I've seen that in person. It's actually pretty cool.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get out more. I'm not very cultured in that way.
I've seen it on a car ride. It's actually pretty fucking dope.
I've seen it in a picture.
I'm going down, baby, yo street in a Range Rover, street reloaded, ready to let. Hey, shout out to St. Lunatics and Nelly.
Oh, boy. I love T1 and Murphy Lee.
It's getting hot in her. I still got our Murphy Lee STLR drop, by the way.
Because of the St. Lunatics. That's the reason why I still call people Bougetto.
Bougetto.
That's bougie and ghetto.
I like it.
T1.
Wow. So maybe you knew this. I think I may have seen this in that documentary. Rich says, "I'm gonna blow you away. Did you know that Toto played all the music on Thriller?"
I knew they played all the music on Bad. I knew Steve Lukather played all the songs on Bad. Or he did Beat It. And he did.
But the guitar solo was the one from Van Halen, though, right?
Correct. Steve Lukather wrote the riff, and Eddie Van Halen did the freaking guitar solo. Funny story, true story, Steve Lukather said in an interview that he did with Jeff Beato, I absolutely love Jeff Beato, that Eddie Van Halen literally gave that weird grin to Quincy Jones and played like a 5-minute solo, and they took the part he wanted. Like, Eddie Van Halen was like the only one you could not tell what you wanted. You just told him, hey, I want a solo, and he was so good at understanding and listening to the key of it.
He just did it.
Yeah.
And shout out to the Godfather, Phil Russell, tuning in all the way out from Colorado on the Facebook Live.
Okay. It's like, what the hell is like that? The stupidest argument that people always try to get into it with me. Well, who's a better guitarist, Jimi Hendrix or Eric Clapton? I'm like, you idiot, you half-wit. You can't compare the two. Jimi Hendrix played 100% by feel, and Eric Clapton was the only one out of the two of them who could not only read but write music. Jimi Hendrix could not do that. Jimi Hendrix played by feel. He played not only a left-handed guitar, which is a completely different dynamic, he kept it strung like he was playing a right-handed guitar. So he didn't change the string, because when you play guitar, the thick E string is always on top. And then like the lower E string is at the bottom. Well, he basically took a normal sounding guitar and flipped it upside down and played it that way. I'm like, that's freaking wild. And fun fact, Terry Kath from Chicago is the only guitar player that Jimi Hendrix openly admitted was probably better than he was.
Jimi Hendrix, by a lot of people's
metrics, is one of the GOATs. Just because
absolutely.
Of the simple fact, like you said, he couldn't read and write the music like Eric Clapton could, but the boy had an ear on him, and he would just fiddle around with his guitar, literally, and he'd come up with some shit. He would just create.
If I were to do like a Mount Rushmore of 60s to 70s guitarists, you have to put Hendrix up there. You would have to put Clapton.
Would Prince go on there?
No, because Prince was
more 80s.
Yeah, absolutely. Prince is good, but again, like that, you're going off of everybody who was around there. Terry Kath would definitely go up there. Terry Kath was a freaking.
And who was he with?
Terry Kath was the original guitar player of Chicago.
Okay.
Like when Chicago had like 27 fucking members. Like they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
What about is it Robert Plant that played the guitar, or was it Jimmy Page?
It was Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page would be the last one.
Okay.
Jimmy Page, like he had, you ever go to school with these like really tall string bean kids? You know, and that's what we called them. That we called them string beans. We called them slanky. You know, a 4x4 because they were as big wide as they were tall, and they just had these like alien fingers, and he could freaking like reach up and just do the deal and play like real low on the neck on the guitar and do all that shit. But the freaking guitar that Jimmy Page used for Stairway to Heaven, he literally had like 2 guitars, and it was the nastiest thing ever. Like, I would never want to play that because, God, that's a problem waiting to happen. But, man, it was like freaking wild. It's a cool look. It's a wild look.
He was a bad man.
Absolutely. I mean, but, like, Guitar Players is its own freaking show. Good Lord. Between Tony Iommi and...
El, you have a point right there, and I don't really think... I think he's probably the GOAT. If he's not, he's damn near... He's top 2. Charlie Daniels on the fiddle. Whew. My boy, Charlie Daniels can strum a fiddle, my guy.
Nobody's disputing that. And it's funny because now, like, the fiddle's gotten a lot more notoriety today. Because Charlie Daniels was sort of like... He was sort of ahead of his time. And now we look back and we look at people like Lindsey Sterling. And Lindsey Sterling is an amazing violinist.
Ooh, Mario, great one. So Rich chiming in and said Eddie Van Halen never knew how to read music. And Mario, my boy Scoob, I think he meant to say Stevie Ray Vaughan is badass. And
oh, no doubt about
Stevie Ray Vaughan was a bad motherfucker on the guitar.
And Stevie Ray Vaughan, like that's that subgroup. Like that was when you look at the blues as a whole and you take into the fact, people like Robert Johnson, which the myth around Robert Johnson alone is enough to, like, still to this day they question it. About him. He couldn't play guitar worth a lick. He left him at the Devil at the Crossroads and came back and he was a freaking blues god. You have him, you have B.B. King, obviously. B.B. King is a quintessential legend.
Yeah. Lucille, right? Lucille was the guitar's name, right? Even I know that. And you're getting a little love here on the Facebook Live right here. Rich says, as young as Johnny is, it's very impressive, his knowledge of music.
Oh, thank you. I have 2 older brothers. I blame that all on them.
All right. I have a Quigley, which is Pops. Shout out to Pops. Hey, I come home all the time, man. Pops jamming some throwback music. So
surprisingly, a decent guitarist who probably will never get enough credit just because he's a dick is Dickie Betts, who just passed from the Almonds.
If you want some stories from him,
yeah, and it's like
Pops got a couple. My dad.
I felt really, really bad because I met him one time and he was being a dick at the White Buffalo. And without even hesitation, I looked at him and I said, Dwayne wrote all the fucking hits, right? Like, Dwayne Allman's the driving force of the Allman Brothers. You had freaking Scarborough Blues. Ramblin' Man.
My dad was actually really good friends with DDT, Dangerous Dan Toller.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Pops was really good friends with Dan Toller, so he knows a lot about that whole situation.
That's such a... Man, Sarasota was a fucking hotbed.
Next time you're at the house, ask Pops about some Dan Toller. He will tell you some good stories.
I thoroughly enjoy talking to your dad about music. I thoroughly enjoy it.
He's a good dude, man. He knows a lot about some music. He's probably forgot a lot of stuff in his older age, but that man still knows a lot about music, and he appreciates some good throwbacks. Man, I'm telling you.
As much as I shit on a lot of the non-rock people that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if you do like that sort of music, then 2 weeks from last Friday, Funky Bones will be at Joyland doing freaking Kool and the Gang, which I love Kool and the Gang.
Yeah, if you have not seen the Funky Bones show yet, I'm telling you, it's high energy. They definitely do their thing. It's fun. It's definitely upbeat.
Aquapalooza 2 days after.
There's some blacklight action going on, so feel free to break out some neon colors and glow in the
We're
dark.
gonna be all blacklight now. All blacklight. Oh, son of a bitch. So excited.
Really?
Yeah, freaking that bass player made the freaking judgment on it. I didn't want it because like I always feel left out of it because I can't get the damn contact thing in. I want if we're gonna do if we're gonna do the black lights, then I want contacts in.
The glow in the dark ones?
No, it's just like I can't fathom sticking something in my fucking eye. I hate it.
I've come to the conclusion that you know what, in a few years I'm probably gonna get on the glasses gang. Because ain't no way I'm doing contacts if you're trying to touch my eye. And plus, I got little ass eyes to begin with, so I don't know. It doesn't seem
well, that's because you're a shiny side. That's why.
Even when I'm not. Even when I'm not, they're still like this.
Ah, shit. It's 10:15. I got to take Mom out for freaking Mother's Day.
That's a good question. I don't know what the difference between the violin and the fiddle is. Isn't it the same thing?
Basically.
But they just play it differently?
Yes.
Fiddle, you play faster. Violin, you play slower? Because there's the Geico commercial. That's why I'm a little confused. There's the Geico commercial where it's like they're in like a nice fancy restaurant and they're playing the violin and Charlie Daniels goes up and says, "Let me see that, son." And he takes it and like starts strumming the fiddle real quick. He's like, "That's how you do it, son." And he like hands it back. And it was a violin, but I don't know if it's just...
I'm probably 99% sure that there's no difference between a fiddle and a violin other than verbiage.
Verbiage. Maybe the strings. I don't know.
I think it's a backwoods thing.
Okay.
I mean...
It's like a tomato kind of thing?
Right.
Okay. You could very well be right.
Fire that.
It's like how we call them subs down here, but Carter always like, it's a hoagie. No, it's a sub. It's a sandwich.
And yeah.
I think it's one of those things. Hey, any final shout outs?
Shout out to the Yahoos.
Before we go, Rich has one for you. Who's the most overrated group?
Overrated group? Like rock group?
I'm assuming.
Overrated.
Scoop says one has strings and the other has strings. Shout out to Scoop for the dad joke. I love you, bro.
I love that. Probably most overrated group, I'll be honest, Nirvana.
Wow.
Because they're portrayed as the first, but they weren't technically the first. Because you had the Sonics in there, and Mother Love Bone was way before that. They just commercialized it. And when you look at all of the singers of that genre, when you look at Kurt Cobain, Chris Cornell, Eddie Vedder, Doug Martin from Candlebox, like, Kurt Cobain's at the bottom end of that. Like, he doesn't have vocal prowess. And Chris Novoselic was he's a good bass player, but again, you put him up against the other people at their time, the running theory has been for years, ever since it happened, Nirvana would not have been as big had Kurt Cobain not died.
I'm not a huge fan of Smashing Pumpkins.
Really? Billy Corgan?
I'm not a huge fan of Smashing Pumpkins.
Siamese Dreams is a great album.
And I'm not huge on who else was I just about to say? Stone Temple Pilots.
Scott Weiland? Really?
I wasn't a huge fan of STP. I mean, they got some jams. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, Core was such a wonderful.
I love me some Pearl Jam though. I love Eddie Vedder.
Pearl Jam had one album. That's 10.
No, they had a lot of them.
Versus was
Vitalogy, whatever.
Vitalogy was a half of a credit of Verse, and Verse was 5 credits down from 10.
Oh, come on now.
Versus had 2 songs that were worth of shit. They had Animal and Daughter. And then Vitology had Better Man and Yellow Ledbetter. Get the fuck
Yellow
out of
Ledbetter's the jam.
It's supposed to be the precursor to Jeremy.
Can't find a better man. Come on, man.
Come on, man. Garden was such a better
Freezing.
That's 10, baby. That's 10.
That's that jam, too. They're all jams.
That's even flow.
You know what kind of jam it is? Pearl Jam. Bam. Hey, and a lot of people don't know, for the hater who was on TikTok, and if you're on, if you guys got TikTok, go give it STLR Media a follow, because we're getting closer and closer every day to getting to that 1,000. We're far away.
Piss off.
But anyways,
Fuck that.
the dude who was hating on Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog,
Correct.
I believe is the name of the group.
Correct.
And I'm going hungry. I'm going hungry. Come on, man. I can't hit the note like that, but my dog Chris Cornell was getting down.
That was actually one of 2 hits that they had. They had that and Say Hello to Heaven. Such a good fucking.
I'm pretty sure I might have slightly just surprised you
Say
with
hello to
even
heaven.
busting out some Temple of the Dog and knowing that it was a Pearl Jam Soundgarden mashup.
That was like the first supergroup.
They killed it.
Of the 90s. It wasn't the first supergroup because, boy, like, that's.
And I used to love, even though it was the weirdest fucking video ever, I loved Black Hole Sun. The music video was weird as shit.
I got to see Chris Cornell's last show when he was at Rockville in Fort Myers. His last one. It was the last Rockville show they ever did in Fort Myers, and Soundgarden was the headlining act. Excellent.
I don't mind stealing bread. Come on, man.
Nah,
Come on.
He didn't do that one. He did.
No.
He did Black Hole Sun. He did Outshine. Rusty Cage was awesome live.
Fun fact: our boy Zach from Buck That Podcast
Superstar
actually went to a wedding, and his friend was marrying Eddie Vedder's like cousin or something like that, some kind of relative.
Was Eddie Vedder there?
Eddie Vedder was there, and he performed at the wedding.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
That's dope, right? Got to see a little personalized. He probably got to see Jeremy in person.
I want to take Vedder seriously, but after the damn ukulele album, I just can't.
Come on, ukulele. I feel like I need to play a ukulele. Can I be in the band if I play a ukulele?
Sure, Tiny Tim, why not? Dancing through the tulips.
I'll just play the cowbell. I'll bring the cowbell to the equation.
We need more cowbell.
I'll play the dinner triangle.
You're gonna want that cowbell.
When y'all do money, I'll make like little cadrons to
That's
sound with that.
all I hear now. Anytime I listen to "Don't Fear the Reaper," that's all I hear is the fucking cowbell.
We need more cowbell.
I'm like, what? How come now the song's been ruined?
Shout out to
Shit!
Will Ferrell. Oh, if you don't like Will Ferrell movies, I don't know if I could.
Shout out to all the moms out there. Shout out to the single moms. Everybody knows I got a soft spot for those.
Shout out to all the babies, mamas. Shout out to Miss Jackson.
Shout out to all the ladies in the world, all the lovely mothers in the world, and the ugly ones too.
Bam.
To me, you're pretty anyway, baby.
That's what I'm saying.
ODB.
With that being said, RIP ODB. This has been just another convo from my boy Johnny Christ. I'm your boy High Cee. Peace.